Oh boy, it's that time again. Basketball is back in Central New York.
You got my attention, ballin' in the Dome again.
Yep, and with a bunch of guys heading to the pros, it's a new look team that will once again capture the hearts of the SU faithful.
Hang around and we'll tell you all about it. This is CitrusTV's Basketball Preview Show.
Bounces to Cook, a three, missed it! Syracuse wins! The Orange stays undefeated.
With 2 seconds, Ennis at the buzzer. Good!
Ennis pulls up straight away, three, back iron, no good. Dayton knocks off Syracuse.
Bullseye.
Welcome inside the Carmelo K. Anthony Basketball Center, the site of this year's Syracuse Basketball Media Day. I'm Ron Schiltz, joined by the always lovely Sarah Merrifield.
Thanks, Ron. And that's right, SU basketball has returned to the Hill. I can smell a sense of excitement in the air, can't you?
That just might be the smell of the snowstorms rolling in before we know it. But what I do know is that I'm very excited to see the boys in white take to Jim Boeheim Court after their 8-month hiatus.
That's right. There's nothing like basketball season here in Central New York, and I can't wait to get started.
Well, before we take a look at what we can expect this year, why don't we take a trip down memory lane with a little reminder of what happened last season.
And what a roller coaster it's been. Ups and downs, cheers and tears. What more can you expect?
In case you forgot, last year's Orange got off to a pretty hot start. A 22-point win over Cornell in the Dome was the first of 25 straight wins for the Orange. But those wins weren't all fun and games. And nothing said cardiac cues more than the game at Pittsburgh.
He gets the inbound into Ennis. With 2 seconds, Ennis at the buzzer. Good! Tyler Ennis at the buzzer!
Then, in front of the biggest crowd in Carrier Dome history,
Long outlet up to Fair, left baseline, Euro step, up with the left, true!
Syracuse beat Duke in an instant classic. The high of that win was offset by a sobering loss to BC at home, though. And then that followed with the game at Duke.
Got it, but an offensive foul! Jim Boeheim is livid, storming the court. And he gets a technical, and he's thrown out.
The team then limped into the postseason with a court-storming loss to UVA and a home loss to Georgia Tech. But then came the ACC tournament, a first for Coach Boeheim and the Cuse, and they really just didn't show up. The team brought a 27-5 record into the NCAA tournament after going 25-0 to start the season. A convincing 77-53 romp of Western Michigan, however, convinced many that the Orange from December and January had decided to return at the absolute best time possible. But then came Cinderella, the Dayton Flyers, a team that was coming off a last-second one-point win over Ohio State and Aaron Craft. The stage seemed set for an upset, and that's exactly what happened. The Orange stumbled early, and the magic officially ran out for Tyler Ennis.
Ennis pulls up straight away, three, back iron, no good. Dayton knocks off Syracuse in the third round of the NCAA tournament.
After all the ups and downs, one thing is certain. It was a heck of a ride. Well, that roller coaster of a season was led by a bunch of guys that are now wearing Jerry West on their jerseys. The first major departure, CJ Fair. Fair led the Orange with 16.5 points per game and was second only to Jeremy Grant with 6.4 rebounds. More than anything, the hardest thing to replace in a player like CJ Fair is his leadership and experience. The Orange will sorely miss the headband.
Next one gone to graduation is by Keita. Keita may never have put up amazing offensive numbers in his career, but what he lacked in stats, he brought in effort and defense. Bai truly loved playing the game, and his effort will always be appreciated by the Dome crowd.
Next up, the only Orange player taken in the first round of this year's NBA draft, Tyler Ennis. Ennis filled the hole left by MCW in a huge way, and in one bomb of a shot, won his way into every Orange fan's hearts. Ennis's calm composure and steady production will be missed at their point guard position.
Lastly, the Orange lost athletic forward Jeremy Grant to the upstart Sixers in the NBA draft. Grant led the team in rebounds with almost 7 per game, and he was good for 12 points as well. Grant was an incredibly long and athletic presence to have on the floor for the Orange, and his position will be one that will be hard to replace. So if you've been paying attention to Syracuse basketball in the last few years, you'd know that the Orange have some pretty good point guards. Michael Carter-Williams and Tyler Ennis left some very big shoes for Caleb Joseph and Michael Benajay to fill.
Caleb Joseph, point guard, National New Hampshire.
For the third year in a row, the Orange has a new point guard to open the season. Freshman Caleb Joseph will try to fill some big shoes as he takes over for Tyler Ennis. But even with so much turnover, the coaching staff seems positive that the young point guard will fit in nicely with this year's squad.
The last few practices, I feel like he's starting to progress a little bit mentally. Somewhat from a belief standpoint, I think he understands now that he can really make an impact here. He's been a little bit more aggressive offensively, but through that has made the proper decisions, which is what all of our point guards that have had great success here have been able to do.
The 6'3" guard played his high school ball for Cushing Academy in Nashua, New Hampshire, and he seems to already be comfortable calling the Salt City his new home.
I'm definitely just sticking to what I do. I can't really control all the other guys that came before me. All I can do is come in and try to do the best I can do to help this team win.
I think his progress has been good. He's as hard a worker as any point guard we've ever had, probably as any guard we've ever had. And he understands the game.
Christian Pedersen, Citrus TV.
Just to put it a bit into perspective on what Caleb Joseph will be following. During his sophomore year, MCW averaged almost 12 points per game with 7 assists, 5 boards, and almost 3 steals. Wow. And Tyler Ennis was even more impressive, coming in as a freshman and putting up 13 points per game, 5.5 assists, 3 boards, and 2 steals. That, my friends, is a lot of production to replace.
You've heard about what the team has lost. Hang around to find out what the Orange has coming back, what new faces we can expect to see this year, and we catch up with Orange shooting guard Trevor Cooney. Basketball preview show back in 90.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 88 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 1,000% increase in the last 40 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
So you've heard a lot about who the Orange has lost, but now it's time to take a look at who the Orange has coming back this season. First up, the 4-year starter from Philly, Rakeem Christmas.
Rakeem will be expected to be a huge part in this leading team. The Orange will need much more than 5.8 points per game that they got out of him last year. The 5 boards per game is not even close to what they need out of a starting big man. Look for Rack's numbers to go up a lot this year.
Next up, the 3-point specialist, Trevor Cooney. The Orange will look for a better 3-point percentage out of the guard as he only shot 37.5% from behind the arc last year. Expect to see his 12 points per game go way up this year.
Next, the hometown kid, Dajuan Coleman. He only played in 13 games last year due to injury, But like Christmas, the Orange will need more than 4 points and 4 birds per game from Coleman. Coleman will be expected to fill the role of Bikeda and take some of the load from Rock in the front court.
Last but not least, Michael Benajay, the 6'7" guard, will most likely be expected to play both the 1 and the 2, taking over for Tyler Ennis and giving Trevor Cooney a rest when needed. Expect to see the Cuse's own Agent Zero on the court a lot this season. Now that you know who left, let's compare the starters that we saw last year versus the ones we'll see this season. Last year, the 1 was run by Tyler Ennis. Trevor Cooney held down the shooting guard spot. Jeremy Grant at the 3, starting after the injury to Coleman. CJ Fair was the 4 and the leader in almost every stat category. And Rakeem Christmas held down the interior at the center.
Lots of changes this year in the lineup as you see that we can expect Caleb Joseph to start at point, and Cooney will keep his spot at 2 guard. But then there's the question, who starts at 3? It might be Chris McCullough moving to the small forward spot, while Daewon Coleman plays 4 and Rakeem Christmas plays the center. We'll have to wait and see to be sure, but what we do know is that these 5 will play a lot of minutes this year.
Remember that big banner that Q set up during the year of the NBA lockout? I think it said Syracuse basketball never stops.
Yeah, I definitely think I remember that.
Yeah, well, it was very true this offseason. While you weren't watching, Syracuse basketball was making moves. They locked up the number 2 recruiting class of 2015 with 3 players ranked in the top 50 and are still waiting on 5-star recruit Thomas Bryant to decide whether or not to join Malachi Richardson and company in the SU class of 2015.
Yup, and the Orange firmed up a plan to keep the Georgetown rivalry going, even with the separate conferences. Starting in 2015, the teams will play a 4-year home-home series. Hey Ron, what's a Hoya?
I still don't know, Sarah, but what I do know is that a bunch of former SU ballers visited the Dome this past month with their NBA squads. Carmelo Anthony, MCW, Jeremy Grant all came back for a quick visit to the Dome as the 76ers played the Knicks in an NBA preseason game in the Dome.
Also, Mr. James Arthur Boeheim himself was busy coaching the best basketball team in the world in the FIBA World Cup this summer. With the help of Coach K, Boeheim led the U.S. team to a gold medal and an undefeated record. So, yeah, Cuse basketball doesn't really stop.
Right now, I'm joined by junior sharpshooter Trevor Cooney. How you doing today, Trevor?
I'm doing great.
All right. So, you know as well as I do, you guys lost a lot of talent last year. What are you guys going to miss most about those guys?
I mean, losing CJ. I mean, CJ and Bai. I mean, those were 2 seniors. I mean, obviously losing Tyler and Jeremy is really tough, but I mean, losing guys that are seniors are also really tough. But I mean, you got roles open, and just like the year before that, guys are going to step up and fill those roles, and you're just fine.
Like you said, roles are open. That means Rakeem Christmas, you guys step into those older leadership roles. What are you guys trying to do on and off the court to kind of be leaders?
I mean, you just want to lead by example. I mean, we got a great group of guys. They're easy to hang out with and easy to practice with because they're hard workers. And when you lead by example, and you just go out there and you work hard, and people are going to follow that. So that's what we try and do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've had a couple up and down seasons so far. What did you do in the off season? What did you do in the summer to make sure those shots keep falling all season?
I mean, getting up a lot of shots and keep doing drills. And I mean, this summer I did a little bit more off the dribble just because I know defenses are going to play me that way. But overall, I mean, just getting in great shape. I wanted to come in just like I did last summer in great shape. So it makes the preseason that much easier and the season that much easier. So that's what I worked on this summer.
So you said you worked on, a little bit off the ball. Do you think your role has changed a little bit now, maybe a little bit more drive and dish instead of just shooting?
I mean, overall, you want to become a better basketball player in general, and to be a good guard at a high level like Syracuse, you have to be able to do multiple things. So, I mean, I could do it, and I did a little bit of it last year, but I think it's just about doing it more and being more comfortable with it. So that's what I worked on a lot this summer and this preseason, and even during practice tomorrow. So. It's just something just to keep in your mind and just keep attacking, because when you do that, good things are going to happen.
Absolutely. And, you said there's a lot of young guys coming in right now. You lost a lot of senior leadership. What would you say is the toughest thing for them stepping in, maybe to the 2-3 zone?
I think it's just about learning the movement. I mean, the 2-3 zone is tough. I mean, it's not your normal 2-3 zone that you learn in middle school or anything like that. It's a tough defense to learn, and learning the movement and the angles are tough. But I mean, once you get a hang of it, then it becomes easy and it's easy to do. But I think overall it's just that. I mean, the same struggles that I had as a freshman, that Tyler had as a freshman, and that Caleb's having now. But I mean, you just keep working on it every day, and you keep doing that, and then you're going to become good at it, just like Tyler did. He led the ACC in steals, and I think Caleb could do the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. From what I heard, Bus Patterson, he could knock down some threes. You guys ever play a little horse in practice?
Every now and again. I mean, he's a great player, though, and he's going to be a huge spark for us this year. I'm looking forward to him having a breakout year, and just because he's a kid that works hard, and he's a good kid, and you look forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you very much, Trevor, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you.
We've talked players, now we got to talk a little coaching. The legend Jimmy Boeheim on set when we get back, and we'll get to know some of the new faces on the Hill. Don't go anywhere.
Packers, Viking, Packers, Viking, Viking.
Red state, blue state, vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Night owl.
Early bird.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families,
united.
Even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans. These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids. Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. So is the solution.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Want to keep up with all the SU basketball you can handle all season long? Well then, check out Citrus TV on the web.
That's right. Check out the sports blog at sportsblog.citrustv.net for game recaps and more.
And don't forget social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Citrus TV Sports.
With a lot of players for the Orange graduating last year, this year's sophomore class will be asked to shoulder a large responsibility of adding depth to a younger Syracuse team. Citrus TV's Andrew Scaglione caught up with some of the sophomore class.
With the departure of Tyler Ennis, C.J. Fair, and Jeremy Grant, the burden falls on SU's sophomores.
You know, Ronnie Patterson is a much better player. He's worked hard. I like what he's doing. B.J. Johnson is improved. Tyler Roberson is definitely improved. Those guys are all going to play.
Johnson, Roberson, and Patterson, along with Chino Oboko, all look to factor in this season.
With the losses we had last year, I think me, Ron, Chino, and Tyler, I think that's a pretty big piece. I think Coach is relying on us a little more than he did last year to fill those roles.
Me and BJ, Chino, we came together. We've grown tight since last year, so like brothers now instead of just teammates.
Ron Patterson, the three-point sharpshooter, improved vastly in the offseason.
I think Ron's going to be really good for us. I mean, if you look at all the good teams in the country, they have guys who can come in and they can score, whether they're starting or coming off the bench. And Ron's he's that guy. He's a guy who can come in, he shoots it well, he gets off the dribble.
Cooney knows from experience what kind of difference a year can make.
If you look at guys in the past, I mean, they make their big strides once they had that 1 year under their belt. So I look for them to make huge strides coming along this year.
Cooney would know. He was a sophomore once, too. Andrew Scaglione, Citrus TV.
Well, alongside the wealth of sophomores, the Orange is welcoming a few new faces to the Hill.
And the first, Chris McCullough. A 6'10 power forward from the Bronx, McCullough fits the Boeheim model of long, versatile bigs with great upside and shot blocking potential. He is also the only 5-star recruit in this year's class. ESPN has him ranked 24th overall and 5th among power forwards.
Next, the man who will be asked to step into a huge void left at the point guard position, Caleb Joseph. Joseph is another player that fits the long and lanky guard position that Boeheim loves to use as a tool in 2-3 zone. Scouts say he has great court vision and plays extremely unselfishly. Only time will tell if Joseph will fill the giant hole left for him.
And finally, Mike Sutton, a shooting guard from Norwich, New York, will fill out the freshman class of 2014. Sutton led his high school team to the New York State quarterfinals and shows great shooting potential. Sutton will most likely be asked to provide depth at the shooting guard position. It would be a surprise to see a lot of Mike Sutton this season.
So now we sit down with the man himself, Coach Jim Boeheim. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good, thank you. First day.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get right into it. You guys lost a lot of guys to graduation in the NBA draft last year. What do you miss most about those guys that left?
Well, I miss a lot of things. Their leadership, their shooting, their defense, their passing. I mean, we lost 3 great offensive players and defensive players, and then our best defensive player in Baikeda. So it's a lot to lose. And we're working really hard to try to catch up. We've got a good group a small group of veterans, not as big as we'd like to have, but with Mike Benjay and Trevor, we've got 2 guys in the backcourt that played a lot, and obviously Rock Christmas has played a lot inside. So we've got some veterans, but it's really, this team really is going to depend on our sophomores and our freshmen, how well they can fit in, what they can do.
Absolutely, and you do return Trevor Cooney and, like you said, Rakeem Christmas. How much, what are they bringing to the table as leaders?
Well, they're very good players. They work very hard, and you want your upper class players to set the example of how hard you have to work to be successful, and they do that. And I think they've taken a little bit more of a vocal leadership as well.
Absolutely, and like you said before, there's it's the 4th year in a row you've had a new point guard coming in, Caleb Joseph. What does he bring to the table, and how confident are you in him?
Caleb is very talented. He's a very talented point guard, physical. He can get to the basket. He can shoot the ball, and he understands the point guard. He's played point guard. A lot of guards come into college and they've been playing 2 guard. He's been playing point guard, so he understands the position. I think he's off to a great start in practice, and we'll see how he does when we get into game situations, how he reacts, and I think he'll be fine.
Absolutely. And would you say it's a big challenge for the team, just having somebody else bring the ball up, calling the plays?
Well, it's a big challenge for young players, and we've got them at every position, it seems like. And it'll take us some work, but they're getting there. They're doing what they have to do.
Yeah, like you said, young players. You got a huge sophomore class coming in. How important are they to provide depth for this team, even though they didn't have limited minutes last year?
They're going to play this year. One will start, a couple will play a lot, probably 3. The other 3 sophomores will all play. So it's an important class. The 2 freshmen are going to play a lot, and we're going to have to get them ready.
And it's your 2nd season now in the ACC. Do you think it'll be any different? Some new challenges, maybe since they played the 2-3 zone?
It's a really good league, and that's the challenge. And it was really good last year, and we kind of worked our way through it. But it will be a challenge. This is a really, really good basketball league.
Yeah. Speaking of challenges, it's the first time in recent memory you guys have been ranked outside the top 20 in the preseason poll. Does that kind of take a little bit of pressure off this young team?
We don't put that pressure on based on that. We put pressure based on we want to be good. So we have that same pressure every year. We don't worry about the polls. We try to be good. And it's going to be a little bit harder this year, but we've been in that position before.
Thank you very much, Coach, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So you know about who will be taking the floor for the Orange now, but stick around and we'll let you know when and who they'll be playing. We have one last break. Don't touch that remote.
Now it's time for This Week in Bad Stats.
Bad stats?
Horrible stats. Here goes. 132.
That's how many batters struck out 4 times in one game last season.
Wow, very good. Here's a tough one, though. 3 and 4.
No idea.
That's how many kids witness bullying. 3 out of 4.
That's not a good stat.
No, it's not, but it can change. Kids want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov and give them the tools they need to help prevent bullying.
There are plenty of safe ways kids can help at stopbullying.gov.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it.
The only triple doubles you get come with fries.
Last time you blocked someone, you were online.
I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool.
Not cool.
Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative, it's offensive to gay people. And you're better than that.
Welcome back inside the Mello Center. I'm Ron, joined by Sarah Merrifield. So we've talked players, we've talked coaches.
And we've talked about who we can see on the court this year. But let's talk about who the Orange will actually be going against.
Obviously, we know that this is the second year that Syracuse will spend in the ACC, so there will be a few tough games once conference play starts. But let's start at the beginning. The Orange starts its 2014 tour in the 2K Classic at MSG against Kennesaw State, Hampton, and Cal. The team then heads to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan in the Big Ten ACC Challenge on December 2nd. Next key game is down at the Wells Fargo Center against the Villanova Wildcats. Then starts the gauntlet of the ACC. The first real test comes in Chapel Hill against North Carolina on January 26th. Then a trip to Pitt, where Syracuse seems to always have problems. Next comes the one that everyone circled, Duke at home, and in Durham in the span of 14 days. February 14th and 28th. Anyone remember last time these two teams played? Jimmy B proved that he's still got it. That's what happened. Anyways, other notable games, Louisville right after the first Duke game in their first matchup as ACC opponents, and a tough game against UVA. We're in for quite a ride this season with that kind of schedule. I really just can't wait for those Duke games and the Boeheim-Pitino revitalized rivalry. So if you haven't guessed at this point, there's a lot of question marks going into this season for the Orange. Where will the team replace the production it lost? Well, that question is definitely reflected in SU's rankings in the USA Today preseason poll. The Orange checked in at 24, and with only 1 or 2 losses, could drop right out of the rankings.
Exactly, and that 24 ranking puts them ranked 5th in the ACC. Duke is sitting at 3rd on the poll, UNC at 6th, Virginia at 8th, and Louisville at 9th. The Orange will have a gauntlet of difficult competition in the ACC, and with tough non-conference games against Cal, at Michigan, and at Nova, it could be a bumpy ride for the Orange.
Well, if you're not psyched up for SU basketball season after that show, I don't know if you'll ever be.
I don't know either, but I know I'm excited to see how well the Orange will play in the Dome this year, and I'm excited to see how they'll handle the adversity.
Absolutely. We're in for another roller coaster ride with the Cardiac Cuse. From the Carmelo K. Anthony Center for CitrusTV's basketball preview show, I'm Ron Schiltz.
And I'm Sarah Merrifield. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.
All right, let's not be that.
Deal. That was the weirdest handshake ever.
Yeah, well, I can...
It's okay.
Well, you were going for a left-handed handshake, which is kind of weird to begin with. 3?
Nope.
Nope.
Sorry. We're going to get hit with a basketball. You all are responsible if a basketball comes and hits us.
Yeah. I hope that happens. And this is very hard to say. And this is.
Or in the ACC. What? You're good. You're totally fine. Sorry, we're in the way.
Yeah, man. We're probably more in the way.
Sally sells seashells down by the seashore. What are those?
Sally sells seashells.
Okay, go.
Where will the team replace I was going to say reproduction. It's not what we're doing here.
They got really quiet.
Sarah's embarrassed to talk loud in front of basketball players.